As I was reading Ephesians 3:13 today, something really stood out to me, that afflictions don't always come because we've done something wrong. Sometimes they come because we've done what is right. And that might seem kind of strange because many of us have been taught to think that hardships mean that we've made a mistake, that we failed to measure up or stepped outside of God's will. But when I look at Paul's words in this passage, I see something quite different, because Paul was writing while in prison, not because he disobeyed God, but because he was following God's call. And his affliction wasn't punishment. It was actually part of his purpose. And that really made me think about the afflictions we actually face today. And because afflictions can look like many different things in our lives. It could be a lost job, financial setbacks, divorce, rejection, or even doors that close when we thought that they would stay open. And these experiences can shake us. It can make us doubt our worth and leave us questioning our path. But scripture reminds us in Psalms 34:19 that many are the afflictions of the righteous, but it is the Lord that delivers them out of them all. So notice that the scripture doesn't say that the righteous might face afflictions. It says that they will, but it also promises that God will deliver us out of them all. And that is a truth I have to hold on to. And maybe you need to hold on to it as well. But let me be real for a moment, because sometimes afflictions come at the exact moment when we feel like we've been doing everything right? Maybe you've been excelling at work, being faithful in your walk with God, loving your family well, and then out of nowhere, something crumbles or the wall comes tumbling down and it doesn't seem fair. But I've learned that sometimes afflictions come not because you're out of alignment, but because you're in the right position for God to show himself strong in your life and in the lives of others. And so if you ever lost a job, especially one where you gave your best to, this thing of seeing your position, reposted online, and it could feel like a slap in the face. You may wonder, was I not valued? Did my work not matter? But what if it was not all rejection? What if it was redirection? What if that door closed because God has already prepared a greater door ahead of you that you can't see right now? And here's what I've come to believe, that afflictions are not always setbacks. They can be setups. They can become testimonies of God's grace and reminders that his plan is greater than ours. And in the moment, it might feel like loss, but later, I know that you will see that God was just aligning all these things out for your good. And the challenge for us is how we respond. We always have a choice, right? We can respond with bitterness. We can respond with retaliation and self-reliance, or we can respond with faith, humility, and just trusting God's hand at work. Think about Joseph, right? In the Old Testament, he was actually betrayed, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned. And so those type of afflictions will break most people. Yet every step was orchestrated by God to position him to save a nation. What looked like rejection at every stage of his life was actually really preparation for something even greater. So sometimes God simply considers us for the trial. Job was considered, Paul was considered, and maybe, just maybe, you're being considered too. But that doesn't mean that God is punishing you. It means that he trusts you to walk through it with him, knowing that your latter will be greater than your former. And so if you are facing afflictions today, whether in your career, your finances, your relationships, or even within yourself, here is my encouragement to you. Don't lose heart. Don't retaliate, and don't give up. Instead, hold on to the promises that you are predestined to bear fruit, and that is fruit that will remain, right? Even in this season, even if the season feels like barrenness, just know that God has planted something within you that will last beyond your current trials. And I know so many people are in a season of transition, facing layoffs, restructuring, or even career changes that they didn't even expect. So if that is you, I want to remind you that what you see as a loss might actually be God moving you into a greater assignment, and your worth was never tied to a position or a title, because you have to know that you are valued because of who you are in God, and he is leading you towards a greater purpose. And so afflictions don't disqualify you. They refine you, they strengthen you, and they position you to testify of God's goodness on the other side. So today, I just want to encourage you to keep the faith no matter how hard it may seem, because afflictions will come, but deliverance will come too. And your present trial is not the end of your story. So trust the one who writes it, and remember that your latter will be greater than your former. So keep going. God's not finished with you just yet.